Hey, everybody, welcome to this session with my friend Will Boucek from Tennis Tribe. He does a lot of great work over there, so definitely check that out and click the button below this to do that. But yeah, I'm really excited to have Will on this session to talk about the top 5 doubles challenges for 3-0 to 4-0 doubles players. So first off, Will, thanks for coming on, and how are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, thanks for having me. This is always a really fun event, and I I always highly encourage my audience to sign up for this event because one of the things I really try to preach to club level doubles players and really anybody learning anything is to try to learn from like multiple sources, right? And that's something that I do myself within tennis, right? Like I'm having people on my podcast, I'm talking to people like you, coaches and players, and trying to learn like different nuggets and bits of information from all of them to kind of come up with what works best for me. And I think if people can do that, then they can improve faster as well. And Tennis Summit is a fantastic way to get free access to some of the best coaches in the world. So it's such a cool event that you're putting on here. So I'm excited to just be a part of it.
Thanks, Will. I really appreciate the kind words, and you had a very nice video you put earlier before this, so that was very well done. But yeah, I'm really excited to get into this presentation. So everyone, I see there's people on, so say hello and where you're from. Always love hearing that. But yeah, Will, I'll let you get into it, and I will add the slide back on the screen, and yeah, go for it. And then also, sorry, you all can ask questions. Feel free, and Will also has his trusty board that he can use to show us further strategies. So, all right, well, go for it.
Yeah. So if anybody has questions throughout, just ask them in the chat, and I'll get to them as we go. You don't need to save them for the end. And yeah, I do have a whiteboard with like a tennis court behind me that can help with some of the visuals. So yeah, so when you reached out for me to present this year, I'm always thinking about like what I've been teaching recently, what's been resonating with the club level player 3-0, 3-5, 4-0 up to 4-5 and even 5-0. And one of the things I've been big on this year is challenges on the court. And one of the issues we run into as club players is we kind of get stuck in our habits, and they might not necessarily be bad habits, but they are habits that maybe are limiting us from reaching the next level. So I've started to create these kind of challenges for a lot of my students on the court, and the point of these is to basically get reps doing things that you're uncomfortable with right now, so that we can start to develop a comfort level with these new strategies or tactics, or it could be something technical, so that you can kind of push yourself and really reach that next level. And one of the ways I like to do that is kind of a total immersion experience. So, like if a good analogy might be like if I were to learn a new language, like I could if I wanted to learn Spanish, like I could do 2 hours twice a week of Spanish lessons, or I could move to South America and learn Spanish in 1 month and just totally immerse myself in it. And the latter is going to be actually much quicker for me to learn Spanish, right? So if I'm trying to learn a new double strategy, I could just experiment with it maybe once or twice per set, or I could just do it every single time. And I'm going to learn it a lot faster. And that's what we're going to do here today. I'm going to go through some challenges for you that you can implement into your next match, to help you learn a lot quicker and get more comfortable doing some of this stuff. So, challenge number one. This is kind of a weird one. Get beat down the line 3 times in one set.
It's good.
This is something that's very difficult to do. Uh, One of the issues we, stress over and over, I'm sure a lot of the other coaches talk about this on Tennis Summit is, we cover the alley too much. Um, but it's actually quite difficult to get beat down the line for a few reasons. Number one, it's a low percentage shot for the opponent. So when they do try to beat us down the line, a lot of the time they miss. But number two, a lot of us, when we're poaching, we actually poach really late. Our tendency is to poach way too late, is what I've noticed. So If your goal is to get beat down the line and not to actually intercept the ball cross court, then it kind of reframes things and you have to leave really early. And this might actually make you lose a set that you wouldn't have otherwise lost. But the point of this challenge is for you to get comfortable poaching earlier. Because right now, if you're listening to this, your tendency is probably to poach way too late. And I want you to go to the total opposite extreme and poach way too early. And then when you get comfortable poaching super early, you're already comfortable poaching super late, then you can find kind of that middle ground and figure out the right timing on the poach. What most people do is I'll tell them, and I've had to like restructure the way I teach this, but in the past I've told them, you need to poach earlier, and then they'll go a little bit earlier, but they're still way too late. And then a little bit earlier, but they're still way too late. So instead, I'm trying to force people to go way, way earlier than they need to, and then find that middle ground, and they'll be able to find the right timing a little bit quicker. So if you can try to either, you can do this as the server's partner or during the rally, but try to get the opponents to beat you down the line 3 times in one set and see if you can do it. Odds are, I bet most of you cannot do this. This is a very difficult challenge. And it's kind of counterintuitive, right? Because we don't want the opponent to actually beat us down the line, but that's kind of not the point of it, right? The point is to get comfortable moving earlier and being more aggressive at the net. One way you can approach a lot of these is to do them in a practice match, maybe then instead of like a USTA sectional match. You don't want to maybe risk this going out in a big match. So start out with a practice match and also talk to your partner about this beforehand. So when I'm playing with a new partner, I'll tell them before the match, hey, I like to be really aggressive at the net. And that means I do get beat down the line some, but I find for every time they beat me down the line, I'm also able to get a volley, and they generally miss 1 or 2 of those. So it ends up being worth it. So then when you are super aggressive and poaching early, your partner at the baseline isn't disappointed when you get beat down the line because they're expecting it because you already had that conversation before the match. So this is a really good challenge to get you more aggressive moving towards the middle.
Will, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but yeah, I just love this challenge because, I mean, there's, first off, it's very difficult for the returner to return down the line, and just merely by introducing your movement, you're going to cause a lot of errors. Speaking mainly about, when it's like when your partner serves and then you poach. And then also when you do the planned poaches, I mean, you're covered, when in most of the cases, your partner who's serving will be able to switch and cover your side and vice versa. And you'll be okay. So I really like this challenge, that it just getting uncomfortable with it. I remember when I was playing in college, like I had not really played any doubles prior to college, to be honest. And then when I was playing, I just watched the balls whiz by, and I was just like thinking, man, how am I even gonna like intercept any of these? And I was just always wedded to my side. But by being more aggressive, a lot of great things have happened. I've won matches like by being aggressive and poaching, and so this is just a fantastic challenge that just focus on the challenge, not on the result so much. And I think it's going to help you a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like something that just came to mind for me is I think this was an Instagram lesson by Jonathan Stokey, who I know presented yesterday. He had a really good presentation on managing risk versus reward on the tennis court, which I enjoyed a lot. But
Awesome.
I think this was from him a few years ago. He had a lesson on Instagram where he said, think about how many times you've gotten beat down the line during a doubles match, but think about how many times you've gotten beat through the middle during a doubles match. And that's what's happening way too much for a lot of us. So this challenge can force you to try to get beat down the line just as much as you get beat through the middle. And we want that balance. But for most of us, we're getting beat through the middle way more than we're getting beat down the line. So we need to be getting beat down the line more often. And that'll be a sign that we're doing the right things and moving better at the net.
100%, Will. We actually have a couple questions. Maybe we should just take those now. They seem pretty relevant. So if you don't mind. So from 123 Rockchild, in a match, how often do you recommend trying to poach shots during a point?
So, good question. So, during a single point, um, most rallies are not going to last more than 4, 5, 6 shots. So it's difficult to poach more than once or twice. Um, Honestly, more than once is pretty rare because generally when you're poaching, you're ending the point. You're ending it by getting a volley that you finish with. You're ending it by moving and forcing an error, or you're ending it by getting beat down the line, which is our goal with this challenge. So within a single point, if that's what they mean, you can't really poach more than once typically. Sometimes if there's like a lob, maybe you can try poaching more than once. Um, it's all very situational though. If the opponent is on defense, if they're way back behind the baseline, that's a great time to poach. If your partner is in a bad cross court matchup, then you probably need to poach pretty early because if you let them get into an extended rally, they're going to lose that matchup the majority of the time. If the other net player is really aggressive, then you might have to poach before they do. So there's a lot of different situations and kind of, I guess, different scenarios where it might be a good idea to poach, but it's all very matchup dependent. In general, I find most people don't poach enough at the club level. So if you're unsure, I would lean towards the side of poaching. And that's kind of what this challenge tries to do.
Awesome, Will. Great stuff. Great question. One more for you. Christopher, actually more of a comment, validating exactly what you mentioned, Will. So also most net players position themselves too close to the alley and spend too much time protecting the alley. 85% of balls go through the middle of the court.
Mm-hmm.
Your
Yeah,
thoughts?
100%. Yeah, the really the only time you should be protecting the alley is if the opponents have like an easy short ball. So that happens most common at the club level on if your partner has a really weak second serve that lands short in the box and the opponent has like a return where they're running forward and they have an easy short forehand. Like in that scenario, you might want to force them cross court because your partner has more time to react. If they're hitting a short forehand from just behind the service line and you're at the net, you probably don't want them hitting that forehand at you because that's going to be a very difficult volley. So that's really the only scenario where you do want to cover the alley more. In neutral rallies, or if your partner's in a rally where they're more on offense, the opponent's on defense, you want to be taking away the middle because the down the line shot is a low percentage shot, and you're going to force so many errors. A lot of people don't give themselves enough credit when they poach and the opponent misses, and they're forcing that error. So one of the things that I teach a lot of my students is when you poach, you can miss 50% of your volleys and still be a good play. So that's kind of counterintuitive, right? Like you might miss 6 or 7 out of 10 volleys when you poach and you say, "Oh, I'm not good at poaching." Well, it doesn't matter because you poached 20 times and 10 of those times the opponent missed the ball. 3 of those times you hit a volley, so you won 13 out of 20 points. 7 times you missed the volley. So it's still a good percentage play. You won 65% of the points. So even if you don't touch the ball, you're more involved in the point by moving towards the middle.
Thanks, Will. And then just one more from Mark, also relevant question here. Hi, guys. Hey, Mark from SC. Should you begin moving at the moment the opponent's racket goes back or when the racket face meets the ball? Thanks.
I love this question. It just like Louis said in his presentation yesterday, it depends. Um, so it depends on the position of the opponent. If they're hitting from way back by the fence, I can wait till after they hit the ball because that ball's got such a far distance to travel. I have plenty of time to get over there. If they're hitting from on the baseline, it's a lot shorter distance for the ball to travel, so I have to leave a little bit earlier. Also, what's the skill level? The pro players have to poach way earlier than a 3-5 player does because the ball's moving so fast. You don't have time to get there if you wait till they're about to make contact, right? But at the 3-0, 3-5 level, a lot of 4-0 level, if the ball's the cross court rally is pretty slow, you can wait a little bit longer. And then the other thing to keep in mind is just use variety. When I poach, I'm not using the same timing every time. Sometimes I'm moving towards the middle as the opponent starts their backswing. I'll do that more on a point that's low risk if we're up maybe 40-15. And if we lose the point, we're still ahead in the game. But if we're down break point or something like that, it's a higher risk point. I might poach a little bit later because I don't want the opponent to see me. I want to disguise it a bit more. So mixing up your timing is going to be the best tactic generally, because even though it's going to be a little bit more uncomfortable for you, it's going to be a lot more uncomfortable for the opponent at the baseline. And they're going to be really stressed out about where you're moving.
Got it. Thanks, Will. I'm gonna let you keep going. There's one other one, but I'll let you go for it, and then we'll come back to it. So,
Okay.
cool.
So number 2, this is an area that, well, let's start with the challenge. So it's to poach on a second serve return 1 time per game throughout the course of a match. So your opponents are serving, they miss their first serve. You're the server's partner. So your partner's back behind you returning. Your partner is about to get a look at a second serve. That means y'all generally at most levels are probably a little bit more on offense, right? The opponent misses their first serve, you're on offense a bit more. What happens so often is your partner hits a good return cross court, the opponent's on defense, and they hit a slow high ball back cross court to your partner, and you just let that ball go through the middle of the court. So calling poaches on on return of second serve is a great strategy that you can use at every level of the game if you're on the same page with your partner. And I want to encourage, this is something I've started to teach lower and lower level players. And I want to encourage people to start to do this. So you can talk with your partner before the match and say, hey, let's do a signal behind our back as the returner's partner after they miss their first serve. And it's going to be very simple. I'm either going to call stay or poach. So stay would be generally a closed fist, poach is an open palm. And try to call a poach on a second serve once per game. You're going to start a little bit inside the service line. As your partner's return crosses the net, you're going to move forward. And then as the opponent starts their backswing and is about to make contact, the timing again is going to depend on the pace and their position, how much defense are they on. You'll move towards the middle and you'll just go right to where that middle net strap is. I want you to get close enough where you can reach out and actually touch it with your racket as well. We've got another challenge on that a little bit later. But this is a great way to win more points on against second serves. And it's going to put the server under so much stress. You can actually force double faults this way because you call this play, and then next time they have a second serve, they're like, oh, I need to hit a better second serve. And then they go for more, and you can force double faults. So this is a great tactic to use at every single level of the game.
Yeah, I love that tactic, Will. I would do this with my best friend Victor when we played all the time. Second serve, like you mentioned. Either a fist to stay or open, open palm to go, and it definitely resulted in a lot of picked off volleys. And also, I mean, it's when you're hitting a aggressive return, the server is immediately, as you mentioned, on the defensive, and their thought is like, I need to get this ball back, and they're not usually going to go down the line to do that. They're going to float it or try to hit their best cross court shot. So that's really good. And then even if they know it's coming, like it's really hard to hit it down the line, serve +1 for them under that type of pressure anyway. So really, really good strategy there, or challenge for our audience to do. I really like that one. Sometimes when I remember, with new partners, we try to implement that too. So I'm glad you reminded me, because I haven't actually done that in a little while.
Yeah. And I want to stress like the once per game, right? Like you can even change some of these, and you can do it every single time on every single second serve for a set if you want to. The point of it is not that this is going to help you win that first set immediately. The point is to get comfortable calling poaches when the opponent misses their first serve, right? So you're just kind of quickly training yourself to do this. And then that way later on in the next 3, 4, 5 matches, you don't have to call it once per game, but you can use it in a big spot and you'll feel confident in it because you've practiced it a lot more. So that's really kind of the point of all of these. I want to continue to stress that.
Yeah.
Looks like we have a couple questions here.
We do, yeah. And I just want to mention too, I mean, just the mere fact that, the other team is knowing that you're calling on second serves, whether to stay or go, which you did mention the pressure aspect, but yeah, it's like they're gonna now the servers thinking like, where do I return? Should I go down the line? Should I go cross court? Net person's probably thinking, oh no, like I might get, hit or something by the volley. So it's the mere chaos will cause more errors. And that's like the similar principle for just like poaching, I formation, like all these things. So love it. So yeah, let's get these questions going. So Matt asks, I do proactive poaching like crazy, but still leave too early a couple of times a match and get passed. On the other hand, my partner is amazing with reactive poaching. Wish I could do better. So more of a comment there. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I do. Just because you get passed doesn't mean you left too early. This is something that, so a lot of clinics that I do with club players, I actually just have them play sets and I'll stand in the back with one team and talk to them between points. And one of the things I hear a lot that kind of frustrates me is a team on my side of the net, they'll lose a point and one of them will go up to their partner and say, hey, my bad, or sorry. And I'll stop them and I'll say, wait, what are you sorry about? What did you do wrong on that point? And they try to come up with something and I'll tell them, no, you didn't do anything wrong. The opponent just hit a good shot. So like if you're getting beat down the line, it might have been a good move and the opponent hit a 3 out of 10 shot. They hit a low percentage shot. Every shot, if I try to hit a 120 mile an hour ace, my first serve percentage is going to drop to 20%, which is going to be bad for the course of the match. But I'm still going to make 2 out of 10 of those, right? So just because you're leaving early and you get beat down the line doesn't mean you did something wrong. The opponent may have just come up with a good shot. Now you have to ask yourself, is that a low percentage shot for them? If yes, I'm going to keep giving that to them and accept that they're going to make 3 out of 10. Or are they good enough? Were they balanced? Did that look natural for them where they're going to be able to make 6, 7, 8 out of 10 of those? So I need to make an adjustment.
Yeah, really good insight there. Let's see. Another question. Keep them coming, y'all. Where's the best place to serve towards to set up a poach in a cross-court rally? Where's the best place to hit towards to set up a poach? So 2 questions there.
Yeah. This is something I actually I've got to get some data on this. So a lot of coaches will teach to serve down the tee because it takes away the opponent's angles. I'm not convinced that that's necessarily true for poaching. The reason for that, especially in the deuce court, I find a lot of players in the deuce court have they struggle with an inside out backhand, but they have a good inside in backhand. So they can redirect that tee serve down the line. And if you poach, especially if you poach early, like they'll just quickly turn on it and go down the line with it. So I actually like to call a tee with a fake because then that kind of draws that backhand to me a bit more. But anyways, it just depends on the opponent. Like you can call a body serve. Some players struggle to generate pace with a body serve. So it'll be a slow ball cross court. Some players, a lot of players I face, deuce court or ad court, they have big forehand returns. And I'm calling poach on it a lot, not to get a volley, but to just generate errors. I don't even want, most of the time when I poach on a forehand return, I might miss the volley the majority of the time I get one. But the point of that is not the volley. The point of that is to create movement at the net and force them to go for more on their forehand. And that means they're going to land maybe 2 or 3 out of 10. And when they land those, we're going to lose the point, but they're missing 5 or 6 out of 10. So It really depends on the opponent and their tendencies. You've got to notice kind of where is their forehand return crossing the net, how high is it, what kind of pace does it have, and then where's their backhand return crossing the net. And if you can start to pick up on those tendencies, then you just move to that position and take away what they prefer.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It is definitely highly situational and trying to just observe and see like where are the players, gonna create a weaker return. I mean, your inside in observation is so great because there I had a 5-0 doubles match in a super tri level league. I think it was a few weeks ago now, but I started like blasting inside in backhand returns, and I did it again at a practice, and then my friend said, I didn't know that. I didn't expect this shot. Like I didn't know you had this shot, and I just found it way more comfortable to actually hit that backhand, that from the deuce side T serve, like hit that down the line. And
Hmm.
so that was very interesting that you reminded me of. But yeah, very situational, and yeah, very good answer there. Um, Beth, how close to the net should I stand to poach?
Um, so the poach is a movement. It's not really a position. So if we talked about the returner's partner. The returner's partner is generally going to start a little bit further back. So if your partner has a look at a second serve and y'all are calling a poach, like this challenge here, you're going to start just inside the baseline. As your partner's return crosses the net, you're going to move forward towards the net. And then as the opponent starts their swing or as they're about to make contact, you're going to move across. When you're making contact with the volley, generally closer to the net is better. So as close to the net as you can be without kind of rushing yourself. So if I'm playing with some players who hit the ball really hard, I actually can't get too close to the net because I don't have super quick reactions. So I'll actually take like maybe 3 feet off of the net. But if I'm playing with players who hit the ball a lot slower, then I have more time to react. So I'll stay closer to the net to just apply more pressure, and it makes for an easier volley, and it opens up the angles for me as well. So certainly, when you're making contact, you need to be closer to the net than the service line. I would say that, but it is all very situational.
Got it. Thanks, Will. A couple more here. Oh, comment. I don't think most 3-5 players can hit spots in the serving box. I think it depends.
True.
What do you think, Will? You think that's true?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I would say on first serves, a lot of them can at least generally try to go like to the forehand side or the backhand side.
Hmm.
Second
Yeah.
serves, not as much.
Right. Let's get it in. Yeah.
But regardless, even if your partner doesn't have a ton of control over their serve, you can still call plays.
Mm-hmm.
One play I like to use, I learned this from Angela Kulikov, who's a WTA doubles player. Um, she calls it the contingency play. So at their level, she'll call a body serve with her partner, and her movement at the net is going to be dependent on which way the returner turns. So, like if I'm playing you, Maribon, and you're returning in the deuce court, I know you like your backhand inside in. I'm going to tell my partner, hey, go body serve. And I'm just going to shift a little bit based on if he has a forehand or backhand. And if I see you turn to that backhand side, I might do a jab step towards the middle and then recover, expecting that inside in backhand. But if I see you turn towards your forehand side, I might wait a second, and then as you make contact, shift towards the middle because maybe you prefer your forehand cross court. So that's one way you can do it if they don't have a lot of control. But you have to notice the opponent's return tendencies to be able to do that. I think I just
Oh,
lost you.
sorry about that. Yeah, I was on mute because of some alarm, but went off.
Okay.
Leonard, what are your thoughts about serving wide to increase poaching?
Um, I really like so in the deuce court, I like the wide serve with a poach or a pinch a lot. I think way too many players on the wide serve and the deuce court shift, like follow the ball and shift towards the alley. Um, but it depends on the opponent, and it also depends on the match situation. So if I'm down 15-40 and it's double set point, say, and my partner's serving, I don't really want to call a wide serve with a poach, because if the opponent lands a down the line forehand, the set's over. But if it's early in the set, maybe we're up 30 love, like I'll risk that, I'll give them the down the line forehand because I know they're going to only make 3 out of 10 of those, or 2 out of 10 of those, or something like that. So it's about kind of risk management, like we talked about earlier. But I do think generally too many people get beat through the middle off of the wide serve. So if you notice that you're continue to get beat through the middle and you haven't been beat down the line, this goes back to the first challenge. Just continue to shift towards the middle and let them beat you down the line 2, 3, 4 times per set.
Yeah, great stuff. And then RD says, excellent presentation. As always, learning a lot. Greatly appreciate your hard work and dedication. Thank you. Appreciate the comment. All right. Well, yeah, we can go to number 3 then.
Number 3. So this one is for, I feel like this one's more for guys. A lot of guys at the 3-5-ish level who like to hit the ball really hard. And they like to hit winners from the baseline. So for an entire match, I want you to hit every ball that bounces. So anything that's not a volley, this includes approach shots, this includes ground strokes, this includes returns, cross court. And by cross court, I really just mean to the baseline player if both players are, or if they're playing one up, one back. So if the opponents for some reason use Australian or I formation, then going down the line's okay, but don't go at the net player. And this is the point of this is to reduce your errors from the baseline. And some people watching this will implement this challenge and will have a much higher win percentage from the baseline as a result, because they're going for too much from the baseline right now. This is not true of everyone. I find, again, it's more true for guys who like to hit the ball really hard because they think it looks good, or they think that's what good tennis is. But yeah, if you can just hit every ball cross court, or every ball to the baseline player, which usually is cross court, it's going to improve your consistency from the baseline so much. You're going to set up your partner at the net more. And most importantly, you're just going to reduce your errors. And that's really what tennis should be more focused on.
Yeah, definitely. You're going to put your net partner in a tough spot if you're going down the line too much.
Yeah.
They'll be targeted.
So again, just try it for an entire match and just see what happens. Use it in a practice match. A low stakes league match would be great. And just see what happens. And with all these challenges, again, you might do it and you might say that didn't work for me. But I guarantee with each of these, you're going to learn something, and you're going to kind of push yourself to expand your comfort zone a bit.
Yeah, it's very important with tennis and life as well. So good stuff. Yeah, looks like we can go to the next one.
So number 4, this is, again, something that some players have and some players don't. Hit a lob return against all first serves for an entire set. This is a very effective return tactic. Even with ATP players I work with, the highest level of doubles in the world, I teach a lot of them, or recommend a lot of them, to hit more lob returns against first serves. It's going to reduce your error rate. Most players between 3-0 and 4-0 don't have great overheads anyways. And you're going to neutralize the opponent's first serve. You should do this especially if you don't have a lob return already. This is a great challenge to kind of get a feel for that lob return. What I find with a lot of people is I'll tell them, you need to start using the lob return more against this team because the opponent has a really good first serve, or the opposing net player is really aggressive. So you've got to use the lob return. And they'll try it once or twice and it won't work, and they'll just abandon it. But with the lob return, you've got to get a feel for it. You have to give yourself more reps to get the right timing, to get the right power, to get the right height on it. And after enough reps, you're going to start to get a feel for it, and you're going to be able to hit it with good height, good accuracy, and get the kind of timing right. So if you do it for all the first serves for an entire set, this would be, I guarantee, again, you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to start to improve that lob return as well.
Yeah, this play is fantastic. I mean, I was thinking about it while you were, explaining it from two different angles. I mean, one is that I do this quite often, to be honest with you, especially when I get served to when the server is serving on the deuce side to me and they hit a T serve. Like I really like that, that backhand chip return, or sorry, slice lob. And
Mhm.
thinking because it just it causes them to both have to move, and it honestly it's like, and then looking at it from my perspective, when I get hit with that play serving to the deuce side or whatever side, it's hard work, like you got to just all of a sudden move to the other side, and then if the lob is placed pretty well, like I'm having to hit a like run to the other side and hit a backhand. That's really,
Mhm.
not the best situation to be in. And then, the other player is waiting. And like you said, I mean, nobody has been hitting overheads off of like my return lob, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I play like 5-0 level and they're still not, like maybe like once in a blue moon or something, but like the top level 5-0 guys. But again, it's like usually they're hitting a backhand off of that.
Yeah.
So I love this play. It's really good. It wakes the returners work hard, or sorry, the server team work hard. And also too, if the other team is serving and volleying, like all of a sudden like they have to run back. I remember when my best friend Victor and I played in this, I think at the time was 4 or 5 sectionals, and my Victor, he loves to serve and volley. That's what he does when he serves. And every time the guy lobbed, and he would be running. My Victor would be running forward to the net, and then he'd have to back up. And he was telling me, "said,
Mhm.
hey, I'm getting really tired." And I said, "Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe just anticipate the lob and don't just run forward immediately after you serve." But just a really
Mhm.
good play that you should all practice. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a good tactic at the lower levels too, just because, like you said,
Yeah.
most people hate playing against lobbers, so
Hmm.
you should probably get good at lobbing because most people hate it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a great play. And some players like maybe it's more towards like 4 or 5 plus, but even 4-0 and below, like a lot of them they like pace. So when you give them like this floaty ball, it's like they have trouble with that too. And yeah, just a host of
Mhm.
benefits there. So um got some questions here, Rockchild again. What do you say to tennis partners that tell you to move over and cover your line after you get passed down the line? I need something that is diplomatic, angry face.
Uh, this is a question I get a lot. Yeah, I've got a
Huh.
few lessons on this actually. So,
Nice.
one thing I mentioned earlier is helpful. So, you can talk to your partner before the match starts and tell them, hey, especially if it's a new partner, hey, I like to be really aggressive at the net. And what I find happens is I do get beat down the line some. But for every time they beat me down the line, they miss two, and I'm able to pick off a volley. So we end up winning 3 out of 4 points. So it's something that I typically can live with. So I just wanted to let you know that before we get started. And then when you do get beat, they're not going to tell you to cover your line because y'all have already talked about it, right? Now, if you get beat like 3 times in one game, then they might say something. And to be honest, if it's 3 times in one game, they might have a point. Like some opponents do prefer a shot down the line for some reason. It's rare, but I've faced, over the last 5 or 7 years, I mean, off the top of my head, like 2 or 3 times I've faced opponents where like there's one guy that comes to mind. He had a really good backhand down the line from the ad court, and it was a really weird shot, but it was a high percentage shot for him for some reason. So every time I saw him set up for a backhand, I just went over to the alley and I was there for the volley. So it's super uncommon, but it can happen. But if you can talk with your partner about this before the match starts, I think that's the best approach.
Yeah, that's great advice there. Got a celebrity in the house, Peter Freeman. How's it going?
Hey,
One of my
Peter.
favorite guys, along with Will here in the game. So thanks for tuning in. But we'll be streaming soon. Let's see. Matt, in general, do you lob return of serve more on the first or second serve, and why?
Usually first,
Yeah.
because first, when you're returning against first serve, you're in a more defensive situation. So um, the server's partner on the other side of the net is usually going to be more aggressive towards the middle. It's difficult to redirect a first serve down the line. So the lob's just a little bit higher percentage play. When you're facing a second serve, usually the server's partner is not very aggressive. So you can just return cross court and keep the opponents on defense. So, the lob is a neutralizing shot. It's not generally an offensive shot. When I'm facing a first serve, uh, I am looking to neutralize. When I'm facing a second serve, I'm looking to attack.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I totally agree with that too. Same. Let's see. Mark, other than a defensive strategy, when should you deploy a two back positioning? It seems 3-5 older teams get beat by opposing teams by them drop shotting when playing two back.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a good question. So I've actually had to teach this to my so I help coach a high school team here in Fort Worth, and they're all about 3-0 to 3-5, maybe a couple of like 4-0 level players. And I spend a lot of time working on doubles, obviously. Uh, and one of the new doubles teams that we just switched a girl over from the singles lineup to the doubles lineup, and she's more of a singles player. So I have her and her partner play two back when her partner's returning, and I have her partner hit the return and get to the net because she's better at the baseline and her partner's better at the net. So that's one great scenario where you might play two back. So you have to like talk with your partner about this, right? Like Mirabon, if you and I were playing together, we have to determine, okay, are we best with you at the net and me at the baseline, or me at the net and you at the baseline? And then we can use two back and return and volley to kind of get into that situation. So I think that's a really good time to play two back. If you have two people who are both really good singles players, you can play two back. Obviously, you do have to be able to cover a drop shot if the opponents have a good drop shot. But generally, at most levels of doubles, even the WTA level, and sometimes the ATP level, you want a dominant player from the baseline and a dominant player from the net.
Yeah, I found that to be the case for me. I prefer to have a very good volleyer partner. So I think, Will, you'd be at the net, I'd be at the baseline. Hopefully we can do that someday.
Yeah,
Come up and
that
visit
works
it.
for me.
Yeah, sweet. Um, my favorite doubles partner here, Kate. Appreciate how realistic and actionable the challenges are, especially the lob advice. Definitely bringing these into my next match. Yeah, we both actually love that lob play that you talked about.
Awesome.
So yeah, thanks, Kate. And then Pete, no autographs, LOL. Okay, I'm gonna get
What?
one from you.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one too.
Yeah, give
All
you like
right. So
an all
number
access
five.
pass. Yeah, let's go for it.
Number five. Cover the middle on all first serves for an entire set. So this is kind of
Mm,
tied into the first one where we're getting beat down the line. There's three ways you can cover the middle. So you can do regular formation and poach. You can do I formation and just have the server's partner just pop straight up in the middle at the net strap. You can also do Australian and just kind of shift towards the middle. But try this for an entire set on all your first serves and see what happens. This is one where I would be surprised if you do this and it has a negative impact on the outcome. A lot of these, I think, like maybe you'll lose the set, but by implementing the challenge when you would have otherwise won the set. But again, that's not the point. The point is to challenge yourself to try new things and to kind of expand your comfort zone and learn out there. But this one, I would bet most of you are going to have success with this because taking away the middle on a first serve is something that we don't do enough at the club level. And if you can do this for an entire set on the first serves, you're going to force so many return errors. You're going to get more volleys. It's going to have a really, really positive impact. So try it for an entire set and see what happens. You're going to learn a lot. I guarantee that.
Awesome. These are excellent challenges. And if you all have additional questions, let us know. Um, Will, having, showed us these 5 challenges, I'm wondering, is there one that you would recommend the audience in this demographic to try first, or one that's like the biggest ROI?
Yeah, it depends on the type of player. We talked about like the hitting every ball cross court or to the baseline player is great for players who love power and try to hit winners from the baseline. This is a good one, number 5, for players who are timid at the net, right? Generally, when I'm playing with someone who isn't helping me on my serve, I'll just run I formation every time on all my first serves and tell them to just pop up and stay in the middle. And it forces them to get to the middle. That way I don't have to say regular formation and call a poach, and then they're hesitant or they're too late to poach. They're already there using the I formation. I would say like number 1 and number 5 are probably the 2 that I would encourage people to try. I think you'll learn the most from those. I find people at the club, 3A to 4A level, have the most room for improvement strategically in their net play. So try to get beat down the line 3 times in a set and take away the middle on all first serves for an entire set and see what happens. You're going to learn a ton, I guarantee it. And I've actually got 2 more bonus challenges here as well that we can go through
Max
real
value.
quickly.
Thank you, Will.
So bonus number 1, call plays for a full match. You can do this at different levels. So you can do just first serves is the best place to start if you've never called plays before. You can do second serves as well if you want to get a little more advanced. That would probably be 4-5, 5-0 level. You can call plays on return of second serve. We talked about that earlier with the second challenge. So you can call stay or poach when your partner is returning against a second serve, but come up with some simple system to call plays. I've started teaching this to my high school teams, and we started with just first serve plays. And I started with regular formation, and they had to either poach, pinch, or fake. And once we got that down, we implemented I formation. And once we got that down, we implemented plays on second returns and then second serves. So you kind of have to take baby steps, but challenge yourself to call plays in one of those areas for an entire match. And then the last one is kind of a funny one. Hit a volley winner with the frame of your racket. See if you can do this in your next match. And I'll tell you, the easiest way to do this is to poach a lot and to be very close to the net, because you're going to try to hit it with your strings and you're taking away so much time. You're just going to mishit the ball and you're going to frame it. But because you're so close to the net, it'll trickle over for a volley winner. So see if you can do that in your next match. Try to frame a volley winner.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I played some players like that. They just start really high up towards the net, and they, the mentality is like, as long as I make contact, like it's usually going to go in, like over the net, and it'll be a shank sometimes, but those are pretty fun too. So I like that one.
You
Yeah,
see
good
it with
stuff.
the pros a lot. Like the ATP players crowd the net so much, and the ball's coming back 100 miles an hour. And a lot of times it comes off their frame, but they're in the right position and they move to the right spot. So they're not worried if it hits the strings or the frame. It goes over, and they win the point, and that's what matters.
Yeah, no, 100% there. Let's see. Yeah, Jack Smith, hello from Mumbai. Great stuff, guys. Keep up the great work. Thanks a lot. Namaskar. Thank you, Jack. Let's see. Jason asks, how would you decide which side you and your partner return from?
Generally, well, the first thing to ask is how comfortable are you returning from each side? If it's not a huge difference, then go with your strengths in the middle. So a big misconception is, you have the deuce side, which is the forehand side, and the ad side is the backhand side. So I like my forehand. I want to return from the deuce side. I like my backhand. I want to return from the ad side. I actually teach people the opposite, and the pro teams do the opposite. When you see a lefty-righty combo, they're almost always forehands in the middle, because you want to control the middle of the court. So strengths in the middle is the kind of simplest way to think about that. Now, if you just absolutely can't make a return from that other side, then you probably should do the opposite. You have to prioritize making returns first, but then once the point gets started, I'd like to see the strengths in the middle of the court.
Yeah, thanks for that, Will. I have a couple of questions of my own from you, Will. And I'm a 5-0, and I'm still like this presentation. Like, there's things that I'm thinking like, I need to implement this. So it's really fantastic. I was wondering about serve positioning and return positioning. Do you advocate for shifting those? Because I guess on the one hand, shift my to the tee, and then the server will serve wide. But then, like, as once he or she tosses the ball up, I'll go back, more wide, and then anticipate the slice serve. So, but then, like, with the serve, like if I'm serving, I wonder if I move to tee, closer to the tee, does that give away that I'm serving, to the tee, or also, then again, I could also just like trick them and then serve wide. So there's a lot of like considerations. So I was just wondering your thoughts on shifting serve and return. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing for me is
Did you
I
get
don't
all
want
that, Will?
you.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it broke up a little bit, but I think I got it. So I think the big thing for me, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the big thing for me is I don't want you risking missing a first serve. So, like, if you want to adjust your serve position out wide and closer to the tee, just to kind of mess with the returner's mind, that's fine with me. But if you're doing that and you're making 40% of your first serves, like, I want to fix that, right? So I just don't want to risk that. And then with the return positioning, I haven't thought about that a lot. I think that the risk you run with that is if you start like closer to the tee and you're kind of baiting them out wide and then you shift wide, if they end up going tee, like, you're leaning to your right and that ball is to your left and you're not balanced. So I think, again, I want to prioritize making returns over kind of shifting around and trying to draw different stuff like that. So maybe it's something you do like every now and then, but it's not like kind of a every single serve or every single time play. But
Yeah.
again, I think the important thing is we want to be making first serves 65, 70%, and then we want to be making as many returns as possible. Like, that's the most important thing. So I just don't want to kind of put that at risk.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Well, I know we're almost at the top of the hour, if that's the right term anyway. So I just want to, educate people as well, for those who don't, know exactly what you're doing and what you offer. Like, if you could just let us know about, Tennis Tribe and like all the great things you're doing, and if anywhere in particular you want people to check out.
Yeah. So there's a couple of cheat sheets that are pretty popular. That here's the URL here. People can sign up
Nice.
and get those. I've got a weekly strategy newsletter, so I send out new lessons, typically on Thursdays or Fridays, and it's a new doubles lesson every week. Instagram, we have new lessons almost daily, so you can follow us at the Tennis Tribe on Instagram. The website has all the information, thetennistribe.com. And if you're into podcasts, I have a podcast called the Doubles Only Podcast. where I interview pro players, I interview pro coaches, different people just in the doubles world, and also have strategy episodes where I just kind of talk about strategy. So there's a lot of different resources, but those are some of the best places to start. And when you sign up for the cheat sheets and the newsletter, you'll get all the new lessons every week. So that's probably the easiest place to learn everything and kind of follow along.
Awesome. Yeah, I really enjoy your podcast, Will. And yeah, these cheat sheets, I mean, why not get them, right? They're, you could just
Yeah, they're
go
free.
there and I put, yeah, they're free, right?
Yeah, they're free, and
Yeah.
it's literally just one sheet of paper. So I actually recommend people print them and keep it in your tennis
Mm,
bag, and you can read through it
love that.
before your match or between sets, and you'll remind yourself, like, after you lose the first set, you might check it and be like, oh, we haven't tried this, or oh, I think my or first serve percentage is low, or oh, I need to do this tactic. There's just, it's like everything that I would teach someone on one sheet in terms of serve and return strategy.
Got it. Got it. That's awesome. Let me re-put that link in because I think I spelled it wrong by mistake. But yeah, there you go. There's that. And let's see a couple more comments. Let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah, Jason, I agree. Thanks very much for the session. Really informative. And then Mike says, "Great job, guys. Excellent session. Thanks so much." So I appreciate the support there. Will, any last thoughts before we adjourn the session for today?
No, I just encourage people to continue to experiment. I mean, the idea behind all these challenges is to push yourself to get outside of your comfort zone. I feel like you have to do that to improve in tennis. And a lot of us are very stuck in our habits. And hopefully, some of these challenges can push you to get outside of your habits and kind of grow and learn as a tennis player. And ultimately, I think that's how we improve. So just continue to work hard to push yourself, and I think you can keep getting better. And Tennis Summit is a great way to do that. You can learn so much from all these awesome coaches. So thank you, Mirabon, for doing this again and having me on.
Thanks a lot, Will. I appreciate it. And I did put Will's link for the All Access Pass too. If you enjoyed this session and want to keep it for lifetime to access it at any time, along with 40 plus other sessions, you can use Will's link in there. So a lot of helpful links as well in the chat. And Rockchild, thanks for the guidance. Thanks emoji or prayer emoji, whichever one that is. So yeah, Will, thanks so much, and really, really enjoyed it. It was great. I mean, I know I'm going to rewind and implement these challenges. Love it. So everyone, check out Will's content just right below this video through that button, and we'll see you at the next live stream at 3:00 Eastern time, which will be with Allen Iverson, not the famous basketball player, but a a coach slash Babble at rep. So he's brilliant. He'll be able to guide us about choosing the right rackets, strings, shoes for us. So that'll be a fun one. I know you all love. A lot of you love gear, so that's fun. So, Will, thanks again. You have a great day, and looking forward to making more content with you very soon in the near future. So, have a great one.
Awesome. Thanks, Mirabon.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. See ya.